Hello and welcome to day one of hopefully 9 sessions looking at a game at chess by Thomas Middleton. I don't know if we're going to make it to 9 sessions. The aim is to mark all 9 of the 400th anniversary performances, as it were, of the original performances of a game at chess. It was performed 9 times over 10 days, maybe more than 9 times, depending on who you ask. It was a massive scandal. The Spanish ambassador was very cross. He was very, very cross. And then the king was very cross. And then lots of people were very cross. And then stuff went down. But it was performed 9 times. It is a play full of content warnings. Do have a look in the show description. It manages to insult quite a lot of people along the ways. But it is a comedy. So I'm sure it will be hilarious 400 years later. We are going to be reading it straight through. We're not going to be stopping. We have this wonderful room of people reading along with us today. Give us a wave. Hello, everyone. And we're going to try and get through most of the play today, but we may not. So we're going to see how we go and see how it goes. We're not going to be reading stage directions, with one exception, which we probably won't get to today. Otherwise, we're going to be rattling through it and seeing how it runs at pace, which will be useful for us because we're recording this before a live audience in about 7 days' time. So this is all useful data. So without further ado, I'm going to ask the first people to step up to the boards. Some people may appear or disappear as we start the play. We have a prologue, and then we go into an induction, and we'll see what transpires. So, eyes down now for our first run at A Game at Chess by Thomas Middleton.
What of the game called chess play can be made to make a stage play shall this day be played. First you shall see the men in order set, states and their pawns when both the sides are met, the houses well distinguished. In the game, some men entrapped and taken to their shame, rewarded by their play, and in the close you shall see checkmate given to virtue's foes. But the fairest jewel that our hopes can deck is so to play our game to avoid your check.
Ha! Where, what angle of the world is this that I can neither see the politic face, nor with my refined nostrils taste the footsteps of any my disciples, sons and heirs, as well as of my designs as institution? I thought they'd spread over the world by this time, covered the earth's face and made dark the land like the Egyptian grasshoppers. Here's too much light appears, shot from the eyes of truth and goodness never yet deflowered. Sure, they were never here. Then is their monarchy unperfect yet, a just reward, I see, for their ingratitude so long to me, their father and their founder. 'Tis not 5 years since I was sainted by 'em. Where slept mine honour all the time before? Could they be so forgetful to canonize their prosperous institutor? When they sainted me, they found no room in all their calendar to place my name, that should have removed princes, pulled the most eminent prelates by the roots up for my dear coming, to make way for me. Let every petty martyr and saint homily, Roche, Maine, and Petronil, itch and ague curers, your abbess Aldegund and Cunigund, the widow Marcel, Parson Polycarp, Cecily and Ursula, all take place of me. And but for the bisextile or leap year, and that's but 1 in 3, I fall by chance into the 29th day of February. There were no room else for me. See, their love, their conscience too, to thrust me, a lame soldier, into leap year. My wrath's up, and methinks I could, with just the first syllable of my name, blow up their colleges. Up, error, wake, father of supererogation, rise. It is Ignatius calls thee, Loyola.
What have you done? Oh, I could sleep in ignorance immortally. The slumber is so pleasing. saw the bravest setting for a game now that ever mine eye fixed on.
What game, prithee?
The noblest game of all, a game at chess betwixt our side and the White House. The men set in their just order, ready to go to it.
Were any of my sons placed for the game?
Yes, and a daughter too, a secular daughter, that plays the Black Queen's pawn, he the Black Bishop's.
If ever power could show a mastery in thee, let it appear in this.
Oh, 'tis but a dream, a vision, you must think.
I care not what, so I behold the children of my cunning and see what rank they keep.
You have your wish. Behold, there's the full number of the game. Kings and their pawns, queens, bishops, knights, and dukes.
Dukes? They're called rooks by some.
Corruptedly. Le Roc, the word, Casteau de la Roche, the keeper of the fort, in whom both kings repose much confidence, and for their trust's sake, courage, and worth do well deserve those titles.
The answer's high. I see my son and daughter.
Those are the two pawns, the Black Queens and the Black Bishops.
Pawns argue but poor spirits and slight preferments, not worthy of the name of my disciples. If I had stood so nigh, I would have cut that bishop's throat, but I'd have had his place, and told the queen a love tale in her ear would make her best pulse dance. There's no elixir of brain or spirit amongst them.
Why? Would you have them play against themselves? That's quite against the rule of the game, Ignatius.
Pish! I would rule myself, not observe rule.
Why then? You play a game by yourself?
I would do anything to rule alone. It's rare to have the world reigned in by one.
See 'em anon, and mark 'em in their play. Observe, as in a dance, they glide away.
Oh, with what longings will this breast be tossed until I see this great game won and lost.
I never see that face but my pity rises, when I behold so clear a masterpiece of heaven's art wrought out of dust and ashes. And at next thought to give her lost eternally, in being not ours, but the daughter of heresy, my soul bleeds at mine eyes.
Where should truth speak, if not in such a sorrow? Their tears plainly. Beshrew me, if she weep not heartily, what is my peace to her to take such pains in? If I wander to loss, and with broad eyes yet miss the path she can run blindfold in, through often exercise, why should my oversight, though in the best game that e'er Christian lost, raise the least spring of pity in her eye? It's doubtless a great charity, and no virtue could win me sure.
Blessed things prevail with. If ever goodness made a gracious promise, it is in yonder look. What little pains would build a fort for virtue to all memory in that sweet creature, were the groundwork firmer.
It hath been all my glory to be firm in what I have professed.
That is the enemy that steals your strength away, and fights against you, disarms your soul, even in the heat of battle. Your firmness that way makes you more infirm for the right Christian conflict. There I spied a zealous primitive sparkle, but now flew from your devoted eyes, able to blow up all the heresies that ever sat in council with your spirit. And here comes he whose sanctimonious breath will make that spark a flame. List to him, virgin, at whose first entrance princes will fall prostrate. Women are weaker vessels.
by my penitence, a comely presentation, and the habit to admiration reverend.
But the heart, lady, so meek, that as you see good charity pictured still, with young ones in her arms, so will he cherish all his young, tractable, sweet, obedient daughters, even in his bosom, in his own dear bosom. I am myself a secular Jesuitess, as many ladies are of worth and greatness. A second sort are Jesuits in voto, giving their vow unto the Father General, that's the Black Bishop of our house, whose pawn this gentleman now stands for, to receive the college habit at his holy pleasure.
But how are those in voto employed, lady, till they receive the habit?
They're not idle. He finds them all true labourers in the work of the universal monarchy which he and his disciples principally aim at. Those are maintained in many courts and palaces, and are induced by noble personages into great princes' service and proof, some councillors of state, some secretaries, all serving in notes of intelligence, as parish clerks their mortuary bills to the Father General. So are designs oft times prevented, and important secrets of states discovered, yet no author found, but they suspected oft that are most sound. This mystery is too deep yet for your entrance, and I offend to set your zeal so back, checked by obedience with desire to hasten your progress to perfection. I commit you to the great worker's hands, to whose grave worth I fit my reverence, as to you my wishes.
Dost find her supple?
There's a little passage made.
Let me contemplate with holy wonder season my access, and by degrees approach the sanctuary of unmatched beauty set in grace and goodness. Amongst the daughters of men I have not found a more catholical aspect. That eye doth promise single life and meek obedience. Upon those lips the sweet fresh buds of youth, the holy dew of prayer lies, like pearl dropped from the opening lids of the morn upon the bashful rose. How beauteously a gentle fast, not rigorously imposed, would look upon that cheek, and how delightfully the courteous physic of a tender penance, whose utmost cruelty should not exceed the first fear of a bride to beat down frailty, would work to sound health your long festered judgment, and make your merit, which, though erring ignorance, appears but spotted righteousness to me, far clearer than the innocence of infants.
To that good work I bow, and will become obedience humblest to daughter, since I find the assistance of a sacred strength to aid me. The labor is as easy to serve virtue the right way, since 'tis she I ever served in my desire, though I transgressed in judgment.
That's easily absolved amongst the rest. You shall not find the virtue that you serve now a sharp and cruel mistress, her ears open to all your supplications. You may boldly and safely let in the most secret sin into her knowledge, which, like vanished man, never returns into the world again. Fate locks not up more trulier.
To the guilty that may appear some benefit.
Who's so innocent that never stands in need on it in some kind? If every thought were blabbed that so confessed, the very air we breathe would be unblessed. And now to the work indeed, which is to catch her inclination. That's the special use to make of all our practice in all kingdoms, for by discovering their most secret frailties, things which, once ours, they must not hide from us. That's the first article, the creed we teach them. Finding to what point their blood most inclines, know best to apt them then to our designs. Daughter, the sooner you disperse your errors, the sooner you make haste to your recovery. You must part with them. To be nice or modest towards this good action is to imitate the bashfulness of one conceals an ulcer. For the uncomely parts, the tumor vexes till it be past cure. Resolve you thus far, lady, the privatest thought that runs to hide itself in the most secret corner of your heart now must be of my acquaintance. So familiarly never she friend of your night counsels nearer.
I stand not much in fear of any action guilty of that black time, most noble holiness. I must confess, as in a sacred temple thronged with an auditory, some come rather to feed on human object than to taste of angels' food. So in the congregation of quick thoughts, which are more infinite than such assemblies, I cannot with truth's safety speak for all. Some have been wanderers, some fond, some sinful. But those found ever but poor entertainment. They had small encouragement to come again. The single life, which strongly I profess now, heaven pardon me, I was about to part from.
Ah, then you have passed through love.
But left no stain in all my passage, sir, no print of wrong, for the most chaste maid that may trace my footsteps.
How came you off so clear?
I was discharged by an inhuman accident, which modesty forbids me to put any language to.
How you forget yourself. All actions clad in their proper language, though most sordid, my ear is bound by duty to let in and lock up everlastingly. Shall I help you? He was not found to answer his creation. A vestal virgin and a slip of grace could not deliver man's loss modestlier. 'Twas the white bishop's pawn.
The same, blessed sir.
An heretic well pickled.
By base treachery and violence prepared by his competitor, the Black Knight's pawn, whom I shall ever hate for't.
'Twas of revenges the unmanliest way that ever rival took, a villainy that for your sake I'll ne'er absolve him of.
I wish it not so heavy.
He must feel it, and never yet gave absolution to any crime of that unmanning nature. It seems that you refused him for defects, therein you stand not pure from the desire that other women have in ends of marriage. Pardon my boldness if I sift your goodness to the last grain.
I reverence your pain, sir, and must acknowledge custom to enjoy what other women challenge and possess. More ruled me than desire, for my desires dwell all in ignorance, and I'll never wish to know that fond way may redeem thence.
Never was so taken, beset doubly now with her judgment. What a strength it puts forth. I bring work nearer to you, when you've seen a masterpiece of man, composed by heaven for a great prince's favor, kingdom's love, so exact, envy could not find a place to stick a blot on person or on fame. Have you not found ambition swell your wish then, and desire stir your blood?
By virtue, never. I've only in the dignity of the creature admired the Maker's glory.
Ah, she's impregnable. A second siege must not fall off so tamely. She's one of those must be informed to know a daughter's duty, which some take untaught. Her modesty brings her behindhand much. My old means I must fly to. Yes, 'tis it. Please you, peruse this small tract of obedience. 'Twill help you forward well.
The knowledge will be precious of both, sir.
You will conceive
Oh.
by that my power, your duty.
The knowledge will be precious of both, sir. Oh, sorry, not my one.
The knowledge will be precious of both, sir.
What makes yon trouble of all Christian waters, so near that blessed spring? But that I know her goodness is the rock from whence it issues, unmovable as fate, 'twould more afflict me than all my sufferings for her, which so long as she holds constant to the house she comes of, the whiteness of the cause, the side, the quality, are sacrifices to her worth and virtue. And though confined in my religious joys, I'd marry and possess her.
Behold, lady, the two inhuman enemies, the Black Knight's pawn and the White Bishop's, the gelder and the gelded.
That's my grief, my hate.
What? In the Jesuit's fingers bite this hand. I'll give my part now for a parrot's feather. She never returns virtuous, 'tis impossible. I'll undertake more wagers will be laid upon a usurer's return from hell than upon hers from him now. I've been guilty of such base malice that my very conscience shakes at the memory of it, and When I look to gather fruit, find nothing but the savin tree, too frequent in nuns' orchards, and there planted by all conjecture to destroy fruit rather. I'll be resolved now. Most noble virgin!
Ignoble villain! Dare that unhallowed tongue lay hold upon a sound so gracious? What's nobleness to thee, or virgin chastity, that out of thy acquaintance talk of violence that shames creation? Deeds would make night blush, that's company for thee. Hast thou the impudence to court me with a leprosy upon thee, able to infect the walls of a great building?
Son of offense, forbear, go, set your evil before your eyes. Penitential vesture would better become you, some shirt of hair.
And you a 3-pound smock stead of an owl, but epicene chasuble. Oh, this holy felon robs safe and close. I feel a sting that's worse too. White pawn, hast so much charity to accept a reconcilement? Make thine own conditions, for I begin to be extremely burdened.
No truth or peace of that black house protested is to be trusted. But for hope of quittance, and warmed by diffidence, I may entrap him soonest. I admit conference.
It's a nobleness that makes a confusion cleave to all my merits.
That treatise will instruct you fully.
So, the business of the universal monarchy goes forward well now, the great college pot that should be always boiling with the fuel of all intelligences possible, that of the Christian kingdoms. Is this fellow our prime incendiary, and one of those that promised the White Kingdom 7 years since to our Black House? Put a new daughter to him, the great work stands. He minds nor monarchy nor hierarchy, diviner principality. I, bragged less and have done more than all the conclave of them, take their assistant fathers in all parts, yea, and their father general in to boot. What I've done facetiously, with pleasant subtlety and bewitching courtship, abused all my believers with delight, and took a comfort to be cozened by me. To many a soul I've let in mortal poison, whose cheeks have cracked with laughter to receive it. I could so roll my pills in sugared syllables, and strew such kindly mirth o'er all my mischief, they took their bane in a way of recreation, as pleasure steals corruption into youth. Despise me now. I must uphold his reverence, especially in public, though I know Priapus, guardian of the cherry gardens, Bacchus and Venus chit, is not more vicious.
Blessings accumulation keep with you, sir.
Honour's dissimulation be your due, sir.
How deep in duty his observance plunges, his charge must needs be reverend.
I am confessor to this black knight, too. You see, devotion's fruitful, she hath many sons and daughters.
I do this the more to amaze our adversaries, to behold the reverence we give these Gitana, and to beget a sound opinion of holiness in them and zeal in us, as also to invite the like obedience in other pucelle by our meek example. Sir, is your trifle vanished?
Trifle, call you her. It's a good pawn, sir. She's the second pawn in the White House, and to the opening of the game I hold her.
Aye, you hold well for that. I know your play of old. If there were more queen's pawns, you'd ply the game a great deal harder. Now, sir, we're in private. But what for the great work, the main existence, the hope monarchal?
It goes on in this.
In this? I cannot see it.
You may deny so a dial's motion, because you cannot see the hand move, or a wind that rends the cedar.
Where stops the current of intelligence? Your father general, bishop of the Black House, complains for want of work.
Here's from all parts sufficient to employ him. I received a packet from the assistant fathers lately. Look, there is Angelica, this Gallica.
Aye, marry, sir, there's some quick flesh in this.
Germanica.
think they've sealed this with butter.
This Italica.
They've put their pens the Hebrew way, methinks.
Hispanica here.
Hispanica? Blind work, this. The Jesuit has writ this with the juice of lemons, sure. It must be held close to the fire of purgatory, that can be read.
You would not lose your jest, knight, though it wound your own name.
Curanda pecunia.
Take heed, sir, we're entrapped. The White King's pawn.
He's made our own man. Half in photo yours. His heart's in the Black House. Leave him to me. Most of all friends endeared, preciously special.
You see my outside, but you know my heart. Great difference in the color. Here's some intelligence. And as more ripens, so your knowledge still shall prove the richer. There shall nothing happen, believe it, to extenuate your cause or to oppress her friends, but I will strive to cross it with my counsel, purse, and power. Keep all supplies back, both in means and men, that may raise strength against you. We must part. I dare no longer of this theme discuss. The ear of state is quick and jealous.
Excellent estimation. Thou art valued above the feet of gold that came short home. Oh, Jesuit-ridden soul.
Allison, that mic get picked up by my mic.
Interesting interference. Say that again, Keith.
Excellent estimation. Thou art valued above the feet of gold that came short home. Poor Jesuit-ridden soul, how art thou fooled out of thy faith, from thy allegiance drawn, which wheresoe'er thou takest, thou'rt a lost pawn.
And here again, it is the daughter's duty to obey her confessor's command in all things, without exception or expostulation. 'Tis the most general rule that e'er I read of. Yet when I think how boundless virtue is, goodness and grace, 'tis gently reconciled, and then it appears well to have the power of the dispenser as uncircumscribed.
He's hard upon it. 'Twas the most modest key that I could use to open my intents. What little or no pains goes to some people. What have we here? A sealed note. Whence this? To the Black Bishop's pawn these. How, to me? Strange, who subscribes it? The Black King. What would he? Pawn sufficiently holy, but unmeasurably politic. We had late intelligence from our most industrious servant, famous in all parts of Europe, our Knight of the Black House. You have at this instant in chase the White Queen's pawn, and very likely by the carriage of your game to entrap and take her. These are therefore to require you, by the burning affection I bear to the rape of devotion, that speedily, upon the surprisal of her, by all watchful advantage, you make some attempt upon the White Queen's person, whose fall or prostitution our lust most violently rages for. Sir, after my desire hath took a julep for its own inflammation, that yet scorches me, shall have cooler time to think of yours. She hath passed the general rule, the large extent of our prescriptions for obedience, and yet, what alacrity of soul her eyes move on the letters.
Holy sir, too long I've missed you. Oh, your absence starves me. Hast for time's redemption, worthy sir, lay your commands as thick and fast upon me as you can speak 'em. How I thirst to hear 'em. Set me to work upon this spacious virtue, which the poor span of life's too narrow for, boundless obedience. The humblest yet the mightiest of all duties, well here set down a universal goodness.
By holiness of garment, her safe innocence hath frighted the full meaning from itself. She's further off from understanding now the language of my intent than at our first meeting.
For virtue's sake, good sir, command me something. Make trial of my duty in some small service, and as you find the faith of my obedience there, then trust it with a greater.
You speak sweetly. I do command you first, then,
With what joy I do prepare my duty.
to meet me and seal a kiss of love upon my lips.
Huh?
At first disobedient, in so little too, how shall I trust you with a greater then, which was your own request?
Pray send not back mine innocence to wound me, but be more courteous. I must confess, much like an ignorant plaintiff who, presuming on the fair path of his meaning, goes rashly on till on a sudden brought into the wilderness of law by words, dropped unadvisedly, hurts his own cause, and gives his adversary advantage by it. Apply it you can best, sir, if my obedience and your command can find no better way. Fond men command, and wantons best obey.
If I can at that distance send you a blessing, is it not nearer to you in mine arms? It flies from these lips dealt abroad in parcels, and I, to honor thee above all daughters, invite thee home to the house, where thou mayest surfeit on that which others miserably pine for, a favor which the daughters of great potentates would look of envy's colors but to hear.
Good men may err sometimes, you're mistaken, sure. If this be virtue's path, 'tis a most strange one. I never came this way before.
That's your ignorance. And therefore shall that idiot still conduct you that knows no way but one, nor ever seeks it? If there be 20 ways to some poor village, 'tis strange that virtue should be put to one. Your fear is wondrous faulty. Cast it from you, 'twill gather else in time a disobedience too stubborn for my pardon.
Have I locked myself at unawares into sin's servitude with more desire of goodness? Is this the top of all strict order and the holiest of all societies, the three vowed people for poverty, obedience, chastity, the last the most forgot? When a virgin's ruined, I see the great work of obedience is better than half finished.
What a stranger are you to duty grown! What distance keep you? Must I bid you come forward to a happiness yourself should sue for? 'Twas ne'er so with me. I dare not let this stubbornness be known. 'Twould bring such fierce hate on you. Yet presume not to make that courteous care a privilege for willful disobedience. It turns then into the blackness of a curse upon you. Come, come, be nearer.
Nearer.
Was that scorn? I would not have it prove so for the hopes of the grand monarchy. If it were like it, let it not dare to stir abroad again. A stranger ill will cope with it.
Bless me, threatens me, and quite dismays the good strength that should help me. I never so doubtful of my safety.
'Twas but my jealousy. Forgive me, sweetness. Yours is the house of meekness, and no venom lives under that roof. Be nearer. Why so fearful? Nearer the altar, the more safe and sacred.
But nearer to the offender, oft more wicked.
A plain and most insufferable contempt. My glory I have lost upon this woman in freely offering that she should have kneeled a year in vain for. Respect is darkened. Give me my reverence again, thou'st robbed me of in thy repulse. Thou shalt not carry it hence.
Sir?
Thou art too great a winner to depart, and I too deep a loser to give way to it.
Oh, heaven!
Lay me down reputation before thou stirrest. Thy nice virginity is recompense too little for my love. 'Tis well if I accept of that for both. Thy loss is but thine own. There's art to help thee, and fools to pass thee to. In my discovery the whole society suffers, and in that the hope of absolute monarchy eclipsed. Assurance thou canst make none for thy secrecy, but by thy honor's loss. That act must awe thee.
Oh, my distressed condition.
Dost thou weep? If thou hadst any pity, this necessity would wrong it from thee. I must else destroy thee. We must not trust the policy of Europe upon a woman's tongue.
Then take my life, sir, and leave mine honor for my guide to heaven.
Take heed I take not both, which I have vowed, if longer thou resist me.
Help! Oh, help!
Art thou so cruel for an honor's bubble to undo a whole fraternity and disperse the secrets of most princes locked in us.
For heaven and virtue's sake.
Must force confound. What's that? Silence, if fair worth be in thee.
I'll venture my escape upon all dangers now.
Who comes to take me? Let me see that pawn's face, or his proud tympanous master, swelled with state wind, which being once pricked in the convocation house, the corrupt air puffs out, and he falls shriveled.
I will discover the arch hypocrite to all the kindreds of the earth.
Confusion, and that voice rings the alarm of my undoing. How, which way escapes she from me?
Are you mad? Can lust infatuate a man so hopeful? No patience in your blood? The dog star reigns sure, time and fair temper would have brought her pliant. I spied a pawn of the White House walk near us, and made that noise on purpose to give warning for mine own turn, which end in all I work for.
Methinks I stand over a powder vault in the match now a-kindling. What's to be done?
Ask the Black Bishop's counsel. You are his pawn. 'Tis his own case, he will defend you mainly. And happily here he comes, with the Black Knight too.
Oh, you made noble work for the White House yonder. This act will fill the adversary's mouth and blow the Lutherans' cheeks till they crack again.
This will advance the great monarchical business in all parts well and help the agents forward. What I, in 7 years, laboured to accomplish, 1 minute sets back by some codpiece college still.
I dwell not, sir, alone in this default. The Black House yields me partners.
All more causeless.
Qui caute caste, that's my motto ever. I've travelled with that word over most kingdoms and lain safe with all nations. Of a leaking bottom, I've been as often tossed on Venus' seas as trimmer, fresher vessels when sounder barks have lain at anchor, that is, kept the door.
She hath no witness, then?
None, none.
Gross! Witness? When went a man of his society to mischief with a witness?
I've done it, then. Away on the wings of speed. Take post horse, cast 30 leagues of earth behind thee suddenly. Leave letters antedated with our house, 10 days at least from this.
Bishop, I taste thee good, strong episcopal counsel. Take a bottle on't, 'twill serve thee all thy journey.
But, good sir, how from my getting forth unspied?
There's check again.
No, I'll help that.
Well said, my bouncing Jesuitess.
There lies a secret vault.
Away, make haste then.
Run for my cabinet of intelligences, for fear they search the house. Good Bishop, burn 'em rather. I cannot stand to pick 'em now.
Begone! The danger's all in you.
Let me see, Queen's Pawn. How formally has packed up his intelligences, has laid them all in truckle beds, methinks, and like court harbingers have writ their names in chalk upon their chambers. Anglica, oh, this is the English house. What news there, trow? Oh, by this hand, most of these are bawdy epistles. Time they were burnt, indeed, whole bundles of them. Here's from his daughter Blanche and daughter Bridget, from their safe sanctuary in the Whitefriars. These from 2 tender sisters of compassion in the bowels of Bloomsbury. These from the nunnery in Drury Lane. A fire, good Jesuitess, a fire. What have you there?
A note, sir, of state policy, and an exceeding safe one.
Pray let's see it, sir. To sell away all the powder in a kingdom to prevent blowing up. Well, that's safe, I'll label it. Here's a facetious observation now, and fits my humour better. He writes here, some wives in England will commit adultery and then send to Rome for a bull for their husbands.
Have they those shifts?
Oh, there's no female breathing sweeter and subtler. Here, wench, take these papers, scorch me 'em soundly, burn 'em to French russet, and put 'em in again.
Why, what's your mystery?
Oh, sir, 'twill mock the adversary strangely. If e'er the house be searched, 'twas done in Venice upon the Jesuitical expulse there. When the inquisitors came, all spectacled, to pick out syllables out of the dung of treason as children pick out cherry stones, yet found none but what they themselves made with ends of letters. It was abridgable.
Fear not, in all I love roguery too well to let it fall. How now? What news with you?
The sting of conscience afflicts me so for that inhuman violence on the white bishop's pawn. It takes away my joy, my rest.
This 'tis to make an eunuch. And you made a sport on then?
Cease aggravation. I come to be absolved for't. Where's my confessor? Why dost thou point to the ground?
Because he went that way.
What's that?
Come, help me in with this cabinet, and after I have singed these papers thoroughly, I will tell thee a strange story.
Oh, if it be sad, 'tis welcome.
'Tis not troubled with much mirth, sir.
Horn,
I attend at your great holiness service.
for great, I grant you, but for greatly holy there the soil altars. Fat cathedral bodies have very oft but lean little souls, much like the lady in the lobster's head, a great deal of shell and garbage of all colours. But the pure part that should take wings and mount is at last gasp, as if a man should gape, and from his huge bulk let forth butterfly. Like those big-bellied mountains which the poet delivers that are brought to bed with mouse flesh, are my books printed upon my last invective against the Black House.
Ready for publication, for I sold perfect books this morning, sir.
Fetch me a few, which I will instantly distribute amongst the White House.
With all speed, sir.
'Tis a most lordly life to rail at ease, sit, eat, and drink upon the fat of one kingdom, and rail upon another with a juice on't. I've writ this book out of the strength and marrow of 36 dishes at a meal, but most on't out of colours of cock-sparrows. 'Twill stick and glue the faster to the adversary. 'Twill slit the throat of their most calvish cause. And yet I ate but little butcher's meat in the conception. Of all things I commend the White House best for plenty and variety of victuals. When I was one of the black side professed, my flesh fell half a cubit. Time to turn when mine own ribs revolted. But to say true, I've no preferment yet that's suitable to the greatness of my person and my parts. I grant I live at ease, for I am made the master of the beds, the long acre of beds. But there's no marigolds that shuts and opens, flower gentles, Venus baths, apples of love, pinks, hyacinths, honeysuckles, daffodowndillies. There was a time I had more such drabs than beds. Now I have more beds than drabs. Yet there's no eminent trader deals in wholesale, but she and I have clapped a bargain up, let in at Watergate, for which I've racked my tenants' purse strings till they've twanged again. Yonder's Black Knight, the fistula of Europe, whose disease once I undertook to cure with a high Holborn halter, when he last vouchsafed to peep into my privileged lodgings. He saw good store of plate there and rich hangings. He knew I'd brought none to the White House with me. I have not lost the use of my profession since I turned White House bishop.
Look, more books yet. Yond greasy turncoat, gormandizing prelate doth work our house more mischief by his script, his fat and fulsome volumes, than the whole body of the adverse party.
Oh, it were a masterpiece of serpent subtlety. to fetch him on this side again.
And then damn him into the bag forever, or expose him against the adverse part which now he feeds upon, and that would double damn him. My revenge hath prompted me already. I'll confound him on both sides for the physic he prescribed and the base surgeon he provided for me. I'll tell thee what a most un-Catholic jest he put upon me once when my pain tortured me. He told me he had found a present cure for me, which I grew proud on and observed him seriously. What think you 'twas? Being execution day, he showed the hangman to me out at window, the common hangman.
Insufferable.
I'll make him the balloon ball of the churches, and both the sides shall toss him. He looks like one. The thing swelled up with mingled drink and urine, and will bound well from one side to another. Come, you shall write. Our second bishop absent, which hath yet no employment in the game, perhaps nor ever shall. It may be won without his motion, it rests most in ours. He shall be flattered with sede vacante, and make him believe he comes into his place, and that will fetch him with a vengeance to us. For I know powder is not more ambitious when the match meets it than his mind for mounting, as covetous and lecherous.
No more now, sir. Both the sides filled.
This hath been looked for long.
The stronger sting it shoots into the blood of the black adversary. I am ashamed now I was theirs ever. What a lump was I when I was led in ignorance and blindness. I must confess, I've all my lifetime played the fool till now.
And now he plays two parts, the fool and the knave.
There is my recantation in the last leaf, writ like a Ciceronian in pure Latin.
Pure honesty, the plainer Latin serves then.
Plague on these pestilent pamphlets, those are they that wound our cause to the heart.
Here comes more anger.
But we come well provided for this storm.
Is this my pawn, she that should guard our person, or some pale figure of dejection, her shape usurping? Sorrow and affrightment hath prevailed strangely with her.
King of integrity, queen of the same, and all the house, professors of noble candor, uncorrupted justice, and truth of heart, through my alone discovery, my life and honor wondrously preserved, I bring into your knowledge with my sufferings, fearful affrightments and heart-killing terrors, the great incendiary of Christendom, the absolute abuser of true sanctity, fair peace, and holy order can be found in any part of the universe, globe, who, making meek devotion keep the door, his lips being full of holy zeal at first, would have committed a foul rape upon me.
Ha!
A rape. That's foul indeed. The very sound to our ear fouler than the offense itself to some kings of the earth.
Sir, to proceed, gladly I offered life to preserve honor, which would not be accepted without both. The chief of his ill aim being at mine honor, till heaven was pleased by some unlooked-for accident to give me courage to redeem myself.
When we find desperate sins in ill men's companies, we place a charitable sorrow there. But custom and their leprous inclination quits us of wonder, for our expectation is answered in their lives. But to find sin, yea, and the masterpiece of darkness, sheltered under a robe of sanctity, is able to draw all wonder to that monster only, and leave created monsters unadmired. The pride of him that took first thought for pride is to be angel-shaped and imitate the form from whence he fell. But this offender, far baser than sin's master, fixed by vow to holy order, which is angel's method, takes pride to use that shape, to be a devil. It grieves me that my knowledge must be tainted with his infested name. Rather, with thy finger point him out.
The place which he should fill is void, my lord. His guilt hath scared him, the black bishop's pawn.
Mine? My pawn? Glory of his order? the primate precedent zealot of the earth? Impudent pawn! For thy sake at this minute, modesty suffers all that virtuous blushes, and truth self, like the sun vexed with a mist, looks red with anger.
Be not you drunk with rage too?
Since sober sincerity, nor you with a cup spiced with hypocrisy.
You name there, Bishop, but your own Christian bowl, your morning's draught, next your episcopal hearth all the 12 days, which smack you cannot leave all the year after.
A shrewd retort has made our bishop smell of burning too, would I stood further off. Were no impeachment to my honour or the game, would they play faster. White Knight, there is acknowledged from our house a reverence to you and a respect to that loved duke stands next you. With the favour of the High King, White King, and the aforenamed respected, I combat with this cause. If, with all speed, waste not one syllable, unfortunate pawn of what I speak, thou dost not plead distraction, the plea which will but faintly take thee off neither from this Leviathan scandal that lies rolling upon the crystal waters of devotion, or, what might quit thee more, though enough nothing, fall down and foam, and by that pang discover the vexing spirit of falsehood strong within thee, make thyself ready for perdition. There's no remove in all the game to escape it. This pawn or this, the bishop or myself, will take thee in the end, play how thou canst.
Spite of sin's glorious ostentation, and all loud threats, those thunder cracks of pride, ushering a storm of malice, house of impudence, craft, and equivocation, my true cause shall keep the path it treads in.
I play thus then. Now, in the hearing of this high assembly, bring forth the time of this attempt's conception.
Conception? Oh, how tenderly you handle it.
Seems, Black Knight, you are afraid to touch it.
Well, it's eruption. Will she have it so then, or you, white cleric, for her? The more unclean, vile, and more impious that you urge the strain to, the greater will her shames heap show in the end, and the wronged meek man's glory. The time, pawn.
Yesterday's cursed evening.
Oh, the treasure of my revenge! I cannot spend all on thee. Ruin to spare for all thy kindred too. For honour's sake, call in more slanderers. I have such plentiful confusion, I know not how to waste it. I'll be nobler yet, and put her to her own house. King of meekness, take the cause to thee, for our hands too heavy. Our proofs will fall upon her like a tower, and grind her bones to powder.
What new engine has the devil raised him in now?
Is it he, and that the time? Stand firm now to your scandal. Pray do not shift your slander.
Shift your treacheries. They've worn one suit too long.
That holy man, so wrongfully accused by this lost pawn, hath not been seen these 10 days in these parts. Nay, at this instant, 30 leagues from hence.
Fathomless falsehood. Will it scape unblasted?
Can you make this appear?
Light is not clearer by his own letters, most impartial monarch.
Oh, wrongfully may sacred virtue suffer.
Bishop, we have a treasure of that false heart.
Step forth and reach those proofs.
Amazement covers me. Can I be so forsaken of a cause, so strong in truth and equity? Will virtue send me no aid in this hard time of friendship?
There's an infallible staff and a red hat reserved for you.
Oh, sir, endeared.
A staff that will not easily break, you may trust to't. And such a one had your corruption need of. There's a stake they clear now.
Behold all, how they cohere in one. I always held a charity so good to holiness professed, that I ever believed rather the accuser false, the professor vicious.
A charity like all your virtues else, gracious and glorious.
Where settles the offence, let the full punishment be derived from thence. We leave her to your censure.
Most just Majesty.
Calamity of virtue. My queen leave me too? Am I cast off as the olive casts her flower? Poor friendless innocents art thou left to prey to the devourer?
No, thou art not lost. Let them put on their bloodiest resolutions, if the fair policy I aim at prospers. Thy counsel, noble Duke.
For that work, cheerfully.
A man for speed now.
Let it be my honour, sir. Make me that flight that owes her my life's service.
Was not this brought about well for our honours?
Ish, that Galician brain can work out wonders.
Let's use her as upon the like discovery a maid was used at Venice. Every one be ready with their pennants. Begin, Majesty. Vessel of foolish scandal, take thy freight. Had there been in that cabinet of niceness half the virginities of the earth locked up, and all swept at one cast by the dexterity of a Jesuitical gamester, to have not valued the least part of that general worth thou'st tainted.
First, I enjoin thee to a 3 days fast for it.
Oh, you're too penurious, sir. I'll make it 4.
Aye, to a 12 hours kneeling at one time.
And in a room filled all with Aretine's pictures, more than the twice 12 labours of luxury, of Lucrece dagger peeping. Nay, I'll punish thee for a discoverer. I'll torment thy modesty.
After that 4 days fast to the Inquisition house, strengthened with bread and water for worse penance.
Why, well said, Duke of our house, nobly aggravated.
Virtue to show her influence more strong, fits me with patience mightier than my wrong.
I know my pen draws blood of the Black House. There's ne'er a book I write, but their cause bleeds. It hath lost many an ounce of reputation since I came on this side. I strike deep in, and leave the orifice gushing where I come. But where's my advancement all this while I've gaped for? I'd have some round preferment, corpulent dignity that bears some breadth and compass in the gift on't. I am persuaded that this flesh would fill the biggest chair ecclesiastical if it were put to trial. To be made master of an hospital is but a kind of diseased bed-rid honour, or dean of the poor alms knights that wear badges. Ooh. There's but 2 lazy beggarly preferments in the White Kingdom, and I've got 'em both. My merit doth begin to be crop sick for want of other titles.
Oh, here walks his fulsome holiness. Now for the master trick done, do him everlastingly. That's put home, and make him hang in hell most seriously, that jested with a halter upon me.
Black Knight, must look to my play then.
I bring fair greetings to your reverend virtues, from Cardinal Paulus, your most princely kinsman.
Ah, our princely kinsman, sayest thou? We accept him. Pray keep your side and distance. I am chary of my episcopal person. I know the knights walk in this game too well. He may skip over me. Where am I then?
There, where thou shalt be shortly, if art fail not.
Right, reverend, and noble, meaning me. Our true kinsman in blood, but alienated in affection. Your unkind disobedience to the mother cause proves that this time, blah, 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 the only cause of your ill fortune. My present remove, by general election to the papal dignity, had now auspiciously settled you in my sede vacante. Had it so, which at my next remove, by death might have proved your step to supremacy. Ah, all my body's blood mounts to my face to look upon this letter. Ah,
The pill works with him.
think on't seriously. It is not yet too late, through the submiss acknowledgement of your disobedience, to be lovingly received into the brotherly bosom of the conclave. This was the chair of ease I ever aimed at. I'll make a bonfire of my books immediately. All that are left against that side I'll sacrifice, pack up my plate and goods, and steal away by night at Watergate. It is but penning another recantation and inventing 2 or 3 bitter books against the White House, and then I'm in on the other side again, as firm as e'er I was, as fat and flourishing. Black Knight, expect a wonder ere't be long. Thou shalt see me one of the Black House shortly.
Your Holiness is merry with the messenger. Too happy to be true, you speak what should be, if natural compunction touched you truly. Oh, you've drawn blood, lifeblood, yea, blood of honour from your most dear, your primitive mother's heart. Your sharp invectives have been points of spears in her sweet, tender sides. The unkind wounds which a son gives, a son of reverence specially, they rankle 10 times more than the adversaries. I tell you, sir, your reverend revolt did give the fearfulst blow to adoration our Corsair felt. It shook the very statues, the urns and ashes of the sainted sleepers.
Forbear, or I shall melt in the place I stand, and let forth a fat bishop in sad syrup. Suffices, I am yours when they least dream on't. Ambition's fodder, power and riches draws me. When I smell honour, that's the lock of hay that leads me through the world's field every way.
Here's a sweet paunch to propagate belief on, like the foundation of a chapel laid upon a quagmire. I may number him now amongst my inferior policies and not shame him. But let me a little solace of my designs with the remembrance of some brave ones past, to cherish the futurity of project, whose motion must be restless till that great work called the possession of the earth be ours. Was it not I procured a gallant fleet from the White Kingdom to secure our coasts against the infidel pirate under pretext of more necessitous expedition? Who made the jails fly open without miracle, and let the locusts out, those dangerous flies whose property is to burn corn with touching? The heretics' granaries feel it to this hour, and now they've got among the country crops they stick so fast to the converted ears, the loudest tempest that authority rouses will hardly shake 'em off. They have their dens in ladies' couches, theirs safe groves and fens. Nay, were they followed and found out by the scent, palm oil will make a pursuivant relent. Whose policy was to put a silenced muzzle on all the barking tonguemen of the time, made pictures that were dumb enough before, poor sufferers in that politic restraint. My light spleen skips and shakes my ribs to think on't, whilst our drifts walk uncensured, but in thought a whistle or a whisper would be questioned in the most fortunate angle of the world. The court hath held the city by the horns whilst I have milked her. I have got good sops too from country ladies for their liberties, from some their most vainly hoped preferments, high offices in the air. I should not live but for this mel I reared, this mirth manor. My pawn, how now the news?
I expect none very pleasing that comes, sir, of my bringing. I'm for sad things.
Thy conscience is so tender-hoofed of late, every nail pricks it.
This may prick yours too, if there be any quick flesh in the yard on't.
Mine? Mischief must find a deep nail and a driver beyond the strength of any Machiavel-like politic kingdom's pattern to reach mine. Prithee, compunction, needle pricked a little, unbind this sore wound.
Sir, your plot's discovered.
Which of the 20,900 fourscore and five, canst tell?
Bless us, so many? How do poor countrymen have but one plot to keep a cow on, yet in law for that? You cannot know 'em all, sure, by their names, sir.
Yes, were their numbers troubled. Thou hast seen a globe stand on the table in my closet.
A thing, sir, full of countries and hard words.
True, with lines drawn, some tropical, some oblique.
I scarce can read, I was brought up in blindness.
Such a thing, if e'er my skull be opened, will my brains look like.
Like a globe of countries?
I and some master politician that has sharp state eyes will go near to pick out the plots, and every climate where they fastened will puzzle them too.
I'm of your mind for that, sir.
They'll find them to fall thick upon some countries, they'd need you spectacles. But I turn to you now. What plot is that discovered?
Your last brat, sir, got twixt the Black Bishop and yourself. Your antedated letters about the Jesuit.
Discovered? How?
The White Knight's policy hath outstripped yours. Joined with the assistant counsel of his duke, the White Bishop's pawn undertook the journey, who, as they say, discharged it like a flight. I made him for the business fit and light.
'Tis but a bawdy pawn out of the way, enough of them in all parts.
You have heard all, then?
The wonders passed with me, but some shall down for it.
Set free that virtuous pawn from all her wrongs. Let her be brought with honor to the face of her malicious adversary.
Good.
Noble, chaste knight, a title of that candor, the greatest prince on earth without impingement, may have the dignity of his worth comprised in this fair delivering act. Virtue will register in that white book of the defense of virgins, where the clear fames of all preserving knights are to eternal memory consecrated. We embrace, as partner of that honor, this worthy duke, the counsel of the act, whom we shall ever place in our respect.
Most blessed of kings, throned in all royal graces, every good deed sends back its own reward into the bosom of the enterpriser. But you, to express yourself as well to be king of munificence as integrity, adds glory to the gift.
Thy deserts claims it, zeal and fidelity. Appear thou beauty of truth and innocence, best ornament of patience, thou that makest thy sufferings glorious.
I'll take no knowledge on't. What makes she here? How dares young pawn, unpenanced with a cheek fresh as her falsehood yet, where castigation hath left no pale print of her visiting anguish, appear in this assembly? Let me alone. Sin must be bold. That's all the grace is born to.
What's this?
I'm wonderstruck.
Resist me, goodness, I shall to prison again.
At least I've amazed them. Scattered their admirations of her innocence as the fired ships put in, severed the fleet in 88. I'll on with impudence is mischief's patrimony. Is this justice? Is injured reverence no sharply arighted? I ever held that majesty impartial, that like most equal heaven looks on the manners, not on the shapes they shroud in.
This Black Knight will never take an answer. 'Tis a victory to make him understand he does amiss, when he knows in his own clear understanding that he does nothing else. Show him the testimony confirmed by good men, how that foul attempter got but this morning to the place, from whence he dated his forged lines for 10 days past.
Why, may not the corruption sleep in this by some connivance, as you have waked in ours by too rash confidence?
I'll undertake that knight shall teach the devil how to lie.
If she were half so wise as impudent, she'd ne'er seek further for an advocate.
Now, to act treachery with an angel's tongue, since all's come out, I'll bring him strangely in again. Where is this injured chastity, this goodness whose worth no transitory peace can value? This rock of constant and invincible virtue that made sin's tempest weary of his fury.
What, is my pawn distracted?
I think rather there is some notable masterpiece of roguery this drum strikes up for.
Let me fall with reverence before this blessed altar.
Oh, this is madness.
Well, mark the end. I stand for roguery still. I will not change my side.
I shall be taxed, I know. I care not what the Black House thinks of me.
What say you now?
I will not be unlaid yet.
However censure flies, I honour sanctity. That is my object, I intend no other. I saw this glorious and most valiant virtue fight the most noblest combat with the devil.
Oh, if both the bishops had been there for seconds, it had been a complete duel.
Then thou heardst the violence intended?
'Tis a truth I joy to justify. I was an agent on virtue's part, and raised that confused noise that startled his attempt, and gave her liberty.
'Tis a righteous story she hath told, sir. My life and fame stand mutually engaged both to the truth and goodness of this pawn.
Doth it appear to you yet clear as the sun?
Lass, I believed it long before 'twas done.
Generous. Raise.
Perfidious!
Traitorous pawn.
What? Are you all beside yourselves?
But I remember that pawn.
May a fearful barrenness blast both my hopes and pleasures if I brought not her ruin in my pity, and you trap for her more sure confusion.
Have I won now? Did I not say 'twas craft and machination? I smelt conspiracy all the way it went, although the mess were covered. I'm so used to it.
The queen, that queen I would fain that queen would I fain finger.
You're too hot, sir. If she were took, the game would be ours quickly. My aim's at that white knight and trap him first. The duke will follow too.
I would that bishop were in my diocese. I'd soon change his whiteness.
Oh, sir, I could whip you up a pawn immediately. I know where my game stands.
Do it suddenly. Advantage least must not be lost in this play.
Pawn, thou art ours.
He's taken by default. By wilful negligence, guard the sacred persons. Look well to the white bishop, for that pawn gave guard to the queen, and him in the third place.
See what sure peace you lock your confidence in. I made this pawn here by corruption ours, as soon as honour by creation yours. This whiteness upon him is but the leprosy of pure dissimulation. View him now, his heart and his intents are of our colour.
Most dangerous hypocrite.
One made against us.
His truth of this complexion.
Hath my goodness, clemency, love, and favour gracious raised thee from a condition next to popular labour, took thee from all the dubitable hazards of fortune, her most unsecure adventures, and grafted thee into a branch of honour? And dost thou fall from the top bough by the rottenness of thy own corruption, like a fruit that's over-ripened by the beams of favour? Let thy own weight reward thee. I have forgot thee. Integrity of life is so dear to me, where I find falsehood or a crying trespass, be it in any whom our grace shines most on, I tear him from my heart.
Spoke like the heaven's substitute.
You have him. We can spare him, and his shame will make the rest look better to their game.
The more cunning we must use then.
We shall match you, play how you can, perhaps, and mate you too.
Is there so much amazement spent on him that's but half black? There might be hope of that man, but how will this house wonder if I stand forth and show a whole one, instantly discover one that's all black, where there's no hope at all?
I'll say, Thy heart then justifies thy books. I long for that discovery.
Look no further then. Bear witness, all the house. I am the man, and turn myself into the Black House freely. I am of this side now.
Oh, must have ne'er matched him.
This is your noble work, knight.
Now I'll halter him.
Next news you hear, expect my books against you, printed at Douai, Brussels, or Spalatro.
He his goods seized on.
Alas, they were all conveyed last night by water to a tailor's house, a friend of the black cause.
Pad hypocrite.
Premeditated turncoat.
Yes, rail on. I'll reach you in my writings when I'm gone.
Flatter him awhile with honours, till we put him upon some dangerous service, and then burn him.
This came unlooked for.
How we joy to see you.
Now I'll discover all the White House to you.
Indeed, that will both reconcile and raise you.
I rest upon you, knight, for my advancement now.
Oh, for the staff, the strong staff that will hold, and the red hat, fit for the guilty mazard. Into the empty bag know thy first way. Pawns that are lost are ever out of play.
How's this?
No replications, you know me. No doubt ere long you'll have more company. The bag is big enough to hold us all.
I sue to thee, prithee, be one of us. Let my love win thee. Thou done truth this day, and yesterday my honor noble service. The best pawn of our house could not transcend it.
My pity flamed with zeal, especially when I foresaw your marriage, then it mounted.
How marriage?
That contaminating act would have spoiled all your fortunes. A rape, God bless us.
Thou talk'st of marriage.
Yes, yes, you do marry. I saw the man.
The man?
An absolute handsome gentleman, a complete one. You'll say so when you see him. Heir to 3 red hats, besides his general hopes in the Black House.
Why, sure thou art much mistaken in this man. I promised single life to all my affections.
Promise you what you will, or I, or all odds. There's a fate rules and overrules us all, methinks.
Why, how came you to see or know this mystery?
A magical glass I bought of an Egyptian, whose stone retains that speculative virtue, presented a man to me. Your name brings him as often as I use it, and methinks I never have enough. Person and postures are all so pleasing.
'Tis wondrous strange. The faculties of soul are still the same. I can feel no one motion tend that way.
We do not always feel the faith we live by, nor ever see our growth, yet both work upward.
'Twas well applied, but may I see him too?
Surely you may, without all doubt or fear, observing their right use as I was taught it, not looking back, nor questioning the spectre.
That's no hard observation. Trust it with me. Is't possible? I long to see this man.
Pray follow me then, and I'll ease you instantly.
I would so fain take one of these white pawns now. I'd make him do all under drudgery, feed him with ass's milk, crumbed with goat's cheese, and all the white meats could be devised for him. So make him my white jennet when I prance it after the Black Knight's litter.
And you'd look then just like the devil striding o'er a nightmare made of a miller's daughter.
A pox on you. Were you so near? I'm taken like a blackbird in the great snow, this white pawn grinning o'er me.
And now, because I will not foul my clothes ever hereafter, for white quickly soils, you know.
I prithee get thee gone, I shall smut thee.
No, I'll put that to venture. Now I've snapped thee, thou shalt do all the dirty drudgery that slavery was e'er put to.
I shall cozen you. You may chance come and find your work undone then. For I'm too proud to labour. I'll starve first. I'll tell you that beforehand.
And I'll fit you then with a black whip that shall not be behindhand.
Pish, I've been used to whipping. I've whipped myself 3 mile out of town in a morning, and I can fast a fortnight and make all your meat stink and lie on your hand.
To prevent that, your food shall be blackberries, and upon gaudy days, a pickled spider cut out like an anchovies. I'm not to learn a monkey's ordinary. Come, sir, will you frisk?
Soft you. You have no such bargain aught, if you look well about you.
Snap too, a black pawn in the breach of me. We 3 look like a bird spit, a white chick between 2 russet woodcocks.
I'm so glad of this.
But you shall have but small cause, for I'll firk you.
Yeah, I'll firk you again.
And then I'll firk him again.
Mass, here will be old firking. I'll have the worst on it, for I can firk nobody. We draw together now for all the world, like 3 flies with 1 straw through their buttocks.
This is the room he did appear to me in. And look you, this is the magical glass that showed him.
I find no motion yet. What should I think on't? A sudden fear invades me, a faint trembling. Under this omen, as is oft felt the panting of a turtle under a stroking hand.
That bodes good luck still. Sign you shall change state speedily, for that trembling is always the first symptom of a bride. For any vain fears that may accompany his apparition, by my truth to friendship, I quit you of the least. Never was object more gracefully presented. The very air conspires to do him honor and creates sweet vocal sounds as if a bridegroom entered, which argues the blessed harmony of your loves.
And will the using of my name produce him?
Nay, of yours only, else the wonder halted. To clear you of the doubt, I'll put the difference in practice the first thing I do, and make his invocation in the name of others.
'Twill satisfy me that much.
It shall be done. Thou whose gentle form and face filled lately this Egyptic glass by the imperious powerful name and the universal fame of the mighty Black House Queen, I conjure thee to be seen. What, see you nothing yet?
Not any part. Pray, try another.
You shall have your will. I double my command and power, and at the instant of this hour invoke thee in the White Queen's name, with state for time and shape the same. What, see you yet?
There's nothing shows at all.
My truth reflects the clearer then. Now fix and bless your fair eye with your own forever. Thou well composed by fate's hand drawn, to enjoy the White Queen's pawn, of whom thou shalt by virtue met many graceful issues get, by the beauty of her fame, by the whiteness of her name, by the fair and fruitful love, by the truth that mates the dove, by the meekness of her mind, by the softness of her kind, by the lustre of her grace, by all this thou art summoned to this place. Hark, how the air enchanted with your praises, and his approach those words to sweet notes raises.
Oh, let him stay a while, a little longer.
That's a good hearing.
If he be mine, why should he part so soon?
Why, this is but the shadow of yours. How do you?
Oh, I did ill to give consent to see it. What certainty is in our blood or state? What we still write is blotted out by fate. Our wills are like a cause that is law-tossed. What one court orders is by another crossed.
I find no fit place for this passion here. 'Tis merely an intruder. He is a gentleman most wishfully composed, honour grows on him, and wealth piled up for him, has youth enough too, and yet in sobriety of his countenance grave as a tetrarch, which is gracious in the eye of modest pleasure. Where's the emptiness? What can you more request?
I do not know. What answer yet to make? It doth require a meeting twixt my fear and my desire.
She's caught, and which is strange by her most wronger.
It's he, my confessor. He might have passed me 7 year together, had I not by chance advanced mine eye upon that lettered hatband, the Jesuitical symbol to be known by, worn by the brave collegians with consent. 'Tis a strange habit for a holy father, a president of poverty especially. But we, the sons and daughters of obedience, dare not once think awry, but must confess ourselves as humbly to the father of that feather, long spur and poniard, as to the alb and altar, and happy we're so highly graced to attain to it. Holy and reverend!
How hast found me out?
Oh, sir, put on the sparkling gliss trim of glory, perfection will shine foremost. And I knew you by the catholical mark you wear about you, the mark above your forehead.
Are you grown so ambitious in your observance? Well, your business. I have my game to follow.
I have a worm follows me so that I can follow no game. The most faint-hearted pawn, if he could see his play, might snap me up at pleasure. I desire, sir, to be absolved. My conscience being at ease, I could then with more courage ply my game.
'Twas a base fact.
'Twas to a schismatic pawn, sir.
What's that to the nobility of revenge? Suffices I have neither will nor power to give you absolution for that violence. Make your petition to the penance chamber. If the tax register relieve you in it by the Black Bishop's clemency, you have wrought out a singular piece of favour with your money. That's all your refuge now.
The sting shoots deeper.
Yonder's my game, which, like a politic chess master, I must not seem to see.
Oh, my heart, 'tis he.
That 'tis.
The very self same that the magical mirror presented lately to me.
And how like a most regardless stranger he walks by, merely ignorant of his fate. You are not minded the principal part of him. What strange mysteries unscrutable love works by?
The time, you see, is not yet come.
But 'tis in our power now to bring time nearer. Knowledge is a mastery, and make it observe us, and not we it.
I would force nothing from its proper virtue. Let time have its full course. I would rather die the modest death of undiscovered love than have heaven's least and lowest servant suffer. Or in his motion receive check for me. How is my soul's growth altered? That single life, the fittest garment that peace ever made fort, is grown too straight, too stubborn on the sudden.
He comes this way again.
Oh, there's a traitor leapt from my heart into my cheek already, that will betray all to his powerful eye, if it but glance upon me.
By my verity, look, he's passed by again, drowned in neglect, without the prosperous hint of so much happiness to look upon his fortune. How close fate seals up the eye of human understanding, till like the sun's flower, time and love unclose it. 'Twere pity he should dwell in ignorance longer.
What will you do?
Yes, die a bashful death, do, and let the remedy pass by unused still. You are changed enough already, if you'd look into it. Absolute, sir, with your most noble pardon. For this my rude intrusion I am bold to bring the knowledge of a secret nearer by many days, sir, than it would arrive in its own proper revelation with you. Pray, turn and fix. Do you know yond noble goodness?
'Tis the first minute mine eye blessed me with her, and clearly shows how much my knowledge wanted, not knowing her till now.
'Tis to be liked then? Pray, view advisedly. There's strong reason that I'm so bold to urge it. You must guess the work concern you nearer than you think for.
Her glory and the wonder of this secret puts a reciprocal amazement on me.
It is not without worth. You two must be better acquainted.
Is there cause, affinity, or any courteous help creation joys in to bring that forward?
Yes, yes, I can show you the nearest way to that perfection of a most virtuous one that joy e'er found. Pray, mark her once again, then follow me, and I will show you her must be your wife, sir.
The mystery extends, or else creation hath set that admirable piece before us to choose our chaste delights by.
Please you follow, sir.
What art have you to put me on an object and cannot get me off? 'Tis pain to part from it.
If there prove no check in that magical glass now, but my proportion come as fair and full into his eye as his into mine lately, then I'm confirmed he is mine own forever.
The very self-same that the mirror blessed me with from head to foot, the beauty and the habit. Kept you this place still? Did you not remove, lady?
Not a foot further, sir.
Is possible. Would have sworn I'd seen the substance yonder. 'Twas to that luster, to that life presented.
E'en so was yours to me, sir.
Saw you mine?
Perfectly clear. No sooner my name used, but yours appeared.
Just so did yours at mine now.
Why stand you idle? Will you let time cozen you, protracting time, of those delicious benefits that fate hath marked to you? You modest pair of blushing gamesters, and you, sir, the bashfuls. I cannot flatter a foul fault in any. Can you be more than man and wife assigned, and by a power the most irrevocable? Others, that be adventurous in delight, may meet with crosses, shame, or separation. You know the mind of fate. You must be coupled.
She speaks but truth in this. I see no reason, then, that we should miss the relish of this night, but that we are both shamefaced.
How this night, sir? Did not I know you must be mine, and therein your privilege runs strong? For that loose motion you never should be. Is it not my fortune to match with a pure mind? Then am I miserable. The doves and all chaste loving winged creatures have their pairs fit, their desires justly mated. Is woman more unfortunate, a virgin, the May of women? Fate, that hath ordained, sir, we should be man and wife, hath not given warrant for any act of knowledge till we are so.
Tender-eyed modesty, how it grieves at this. I'm as far off for all this strange imposture as at first interview. Where lies our game now? You know I cannot marry by mine order.
I know you cannot, sir, yet you may venture upon a contract.
Huh?
Surely you may, sir, without all question, so far without danger, or any stain to your vow, and that may take her. Nay, do it with speed. She'll think you mean the better, too.
Be not so lavish of that blessed spring. You've wasted that upon a cold occasion now. Would wash a sinful soul white. By our love joys, that motion shall ne'er light upon my tongue more till we're contracted. Then I hope you are mine.
In all just duty ever.
Then do you question it? Pish! That you are man and wife, all but church ceremony. Pray, let's see that done first. She shall do reason then. Now I'll enjoy the sport, and cozen you both, my blood's game is the wages I have worked for.
And there we will pause this session. I was contemplating going on for another scene, but we have lost Keith due to power outages. So in the absence of Black Knight, we can't carry on. But we did plan to go up to about the beginning of Act 4. We've reached Act 4, Scene 1 in some good pace, actually. I'm very pleased at that. It's very nice for us thinking ahead for when we're running it for a live audience, that actually the first half, which is less than this, is shorter than I thought it was going to be in my planning. So that makes me happy. Of course, the audience a live audience might laugh. You know, they might slow us down by their mirth and merriment. Who knows? So we're into a little discussion of this. I very much want to go to anyone who's not really been involved with Game at Chess before. I mean, many of us have done quite a lot of rehearsal now. I know this play backwards and upside down and back to front. So I'm sort of biased, and also I know what's going on. And I'd be quite interested to talk to some of the people who didn't necessarily know what was going on, to see whether they figured out what was going on. Because Middleton does, I'll go to Mark in a moment. Middleton does this thing where he sets scenes in motion, but he doesn't quite explain to you what's going on until the scene is almost over, or in fact, until later on. He does do some exposition, but he really doesn't quite give you all the information. So it does seem deliberate sometimes, the confusions that are going on. Some of it is the history. Some of you may know more about the caricatures that people are playing. The Fat Bishop and the Black Knight are very much caricatures the audience would have understood and enjoyed on a different level than perhaps we're going to get. But in terms of the plotting, the way the play comes across, that's not necessarily because of the history. That's more just the play is doing a thing. Let's see how that thing reacted with people reading as they went. Mark, I saw you wave.
Yeah, this is the first time I've looked at this play, yeah, I could tell that my character, the Black Bishop's pawn, was up to no good pretty early on, but didn't know quite how bad his not good would be. Yeah, it was interesting to read. It was. I got a little confused when Black Pawn came back for the first time in a while near the end of our reading today. Like he set it up of like, I have a plan, you know, like I'm on a game now. But I was still a little confused about what that plan was as this scene went on. It started to crystallize along with what we had seen in the previous scene with the mirror or whatever. But yeah, definitely curious what's going to happen next to someone who doesn't know.
Yeah, because it really is genuinely the weirdest part of the play, and I don't think this is radical to say that we have the trial, we have the White Queen's pawn is exonerated, and the play could kind of end there, and then we have, oh, I've just seen your future husband in a magic glass, and it's like, sorry, what now? It's genuinely weird, a bit of plotting, and it takes the play in a slightly different direction from this point onwards. And there's another plot line that we'll encounter next time in more detail. Other thoughts in the room? The White Queen's pawn. Rachael, did you have any sort of encountering that character as you went along?
Yeah, I wonder if it's like playing on some trope where she's supposed to be younger or unmarried, and maybe if there's some, I don't know, character archetype, like, I don't know, where she's supposed to be well behaved or innocent or something, or not as knowledgeable. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like the other characters like supposed to be the clowns, and maybe that gives like some more threat to certain scenes because that's not expected maybe in the comedy scenes, but then in other parts she's playing a little bit of the straight man, and that kind of, you know, maybe they're bringing comedy to like a scene that's not necessarily comedic, but it gives it some tension, and then it gives it maybe some relief with those scenes of her not falling for that, because that is such a strange scene, and why would anybody think that would work on somebody unless it's like what do you call it, like some of the other plays we've done where it's like they take you a little bit on like the scenes are from a little bit of a parody of genres, that maybe there's some parody there of some other play that came out or something, or some other genre of play, like Turkish plays where it's all the magic comes in and all the stuff like that maybe it's taking us through a little bit of these different scenes and these different types, and maybe it's just playing with a lot.
Oh no, I hadn't thought of that. That there may be some additional sort of layering going on there. That we're sort of expected to see this scene as being fundamentally a bit absurd. I mean, it is awkward for your character because your character is inherently serious pretty much throughout the entire play, whereas everybody else is either a caricature or doing something, slightly more grotesque. Whereas your character really isn't. And I think also the Black Queen's Pawn is also not a grotesque in the way that, say the Fat Bishop or the Black Knight are, who are explicit caricatures. But no, I hadn't thought of that maybe there's a self-referential thing going on there that's just doing a slightly different kind of self-referential thing, and I hadn't detected it. That's one to look into. Other thoughts on the room? Eric?
Well,
and then Alan, then Susan. Sorry.
What I found interesting was that a lot of the scenes are very public. Sort of the whole, denunciation of like virtue or whatever. It's basically public shaming or slut shaming. And then you've got moments where like the Black King is not saying anything. So it made me wonder what on earth is he up to while everyone else is just like, I mean, maybe he's, just like chatting to the Queen next to him. I assume they entered together. Or like making eyes at the White Queen because obviously that's the person he wants throughout the play. But
this question of what everybody is doing when they're standing around in these massive court scenes, which of course to a degree we don't need to worry about on the weekend because we're recording an audio thing, but that doesn't mean we can't do visual things in terms of who you're looking at and why. And definitely I've given the note to the Black King. He just needs to sit there sort of enjoy
himself.
Yeah, there's something really quite unpleasant about that character because he is so one note. Alan, then Susan.
Yeah, despite the fact that this is the third time I think I've been involved with a reading of this, I'm still not quite sure what the heck it's trying to do. And I think it was obviously so topical in many ways, and there were elements possibly of caricature of well-known characters of the time and issues of the time. It becomes a very difficult issue to try and get into it.
Well, I say,
for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that the topical stuff is usually contained in speeches and set pieces with Gondomar and the Fat Bishop. I mean, in terms of understanding the plot, I don't think it's to do with the topicality that it's strange. It's just strange. It's a strange plot because it doesn't really actually engage, because it's like this is to do with the Spanish match in theory, but of course there isn't actually a match in the play at all. So there are those layers, but I'm not sure if that's why we're confused. I don't think that's why we're confused a lot of the time. People were confused then. One of the earliest criticisms of this play was, I didn't understand the play because I don't understand chess. So I think we need to hunt for other reasons why it's confusing. And okay, me just saying it's just confusing isn't necessarily helpful, but we do need to look at ways of diffusing some of that and explicating what's going on in a way that is more clear, because I think there is a genuine clarity problem with what Middleton's doing, and I don't necessarily buy that it's just because of the topicality thing. Susan.
It was the waiting around thing. Me, the actress, went, oh my God, what would you do? You're just waiting for like one line and they're all talking about, I mean, that's a real, if that was a real staged, it's eggy, isn't it? You need to make some choices. That's the first time I've read those last two scenes where basically she's unmasked or she's being unctuous about religion and good girls. I found that tricky. That would be really treading water. And if you didn't make some choices as an actor on stage, maybe you're just sort of in a melee with lots of other different actors. Is that how it works?
Well, yeah, I presumably, and there are sort of hints in some of the stage directions in some of the versions that, the houses are on either side of the stage, and that it might even be laid out a bit like a chess match. I don't think we should be too literal in trying to stage it as a chess match. But those big scenes, you've sort of got, I think in staging terms, when the Black Knight goes for the White Queen's pawn, It's like a courtroom scene where the defense lawyer comes for her as a witness, and there are people supporting her and around there, and so I think there is a staging logic to a lot of those things that in a room we would find quite quickly.
Yeah.
But I still think there are probably some big fiddly bits of going, well, what do you do with the Black King? What do you do with the Black Duke? What do you do with those kind of characters who are standing around really not doing very much active in the scene?
Bit eggy.
Yeah, it is. Lalitte, then Eric.
I was going to say maybe going with the chess metaphor quite literally could actually help a bit, because I've been trying. I don't know if you'll do this when you have the reading, but you could actually set people out there like a chessboard where each queen has their pawn in front of them, each king and bishop ever has the pawn in front, and you stand up to do your bit, and so the audience doesn't get lost thinking, which character is this now? So I mean, very obvious costumes might actually just help us get who is who.
Yes, it's really hard for us as readers, because those names are so difficult to read and remember who you are. There's a reason I gave everyone numbers, was just as a security blanket, because it's so hard to read. And I think on stage, you're right, on stage, with good costuming, you can do stuff to really make it clear the relationships. Because it suggests status as well, is that the pawns are automatically lower status than the other pieces, and the pieces have rankings too.
That's what's so interesting, is just how much the winning of the game is so over-reliant on the virtue of the White Queen's pawn. It's extraordinary, actually. I mean, it sums up maybe a lot about the society we're talking about. This kind of feminine virtue is so key to everything.
And there are some sort of hairs that have been started running in this portion that we've read that will start bearing fruit in terms of the other characters and the other gambits that are going on. So the White Knight and the White Duke are going to start trying to take black pieces, and the black pieces are going to start trying to make their way to the Queen. They've talked about taking the Queen earlier. The Black King wants the White Queen, and the White Queen's pawn is this sort of route to her. But that doesn't really bear fruit until from this point onwards, actually, in the last two acts, when they start actively engaging in some gambits of their own. This play is full of little gambits. I've never really appreciated that before, actually, how many little gambits. You could almost structure it that way. Eric.
Yeah, I just found it hilarious when you came in going, there are so many, your plot is discovered, and then like sort of, so which one of all? I mean, I'm a busy guy, I have shit to do. Like, it's just kind of it de-escalated that scene completely, and then you kind of had to go, well, it was this one actually, and yeah, it was funny.
Yes, I have a raised hand in the chat. If you want to join us to ask a question, or you can pop a question in the chat. Either way, that's lovely. Do come in and say something, or we can chat when we finish recording, which we will in a couple of minutes. Any other thoughts from people who want to?
It felt so bad. Sorry. During the whole slandering of the White Queen's pawn scene, it was just very well. Also, it made me curious why the Black Knight defers to the White King, sort of going, "Yes, Your Majesty. Yes, of course. Yes, you're most wise, Your Majesty." Whereas you'd expect him to sort of like drool over the Black King's shoes, but then maybe he's already done that.
Yeah, it depends on who he's playing against. I think in the scenes as they're dancing, so he's doing fake unction, I think, at times. Susan,
please just tell me a little bit about this bag. Is this something that people would think of, would know about? This kind of is it in paintings and doom paintings, and is this something that they would know about?
It's an interesting question, actually. I assume it was already a thing that chess pieces all go in a bag once you've tidied
Oh,
away your
right,
set.
right.
I assume that
Yeah.
is so. I mean, the image that we will get in the next spoilers for anyone watching the video is that the bag is basically a hell mouth, and it's crossing over between this idea of a bag and something from a
Hieronymus Bosch.
Exactly that. So. And that was a later addition to the text as well. It was like they had this idea and went, "Oh, we can do this thing." Other thoughts anyone wants to throw in before we close this session? We will return next time from Act 4, Scene 2, and then we will run back into the beginning of the play. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to discuss and unpack this play more as we do more sessions as we run forward. Any other comments or thoughts anyone wants to throw in? Now. No. Oh, Donald, would you like to say something?
Well, I would actually, because this is the first time I've encountered the play. And I know quite a lot of Middleton's plays, but the thing that struck me, even when you get lost with the plot, is just the sheer exuberance of the language. You know, that the relish of language in the piece. I mean, there are so many wonderful phrases popping in and out of my head. The bowels of Bloomsbury, for example. Absolutely. I know exactly what he's talking about there. But I think sometimes with these plays, we just need to sit back and just enjoy the verve and the energy of the language, because the writing is I mean, it's all right at Middleton, but it is terrific writing, just on its own merits. And my mind is still boggling about how you would block some of those big scenes, which we talked about. Maybe I'll have a better idea of that by the end of tomorrow. But yeah.
Yes, I'll just say I have had nightmares about Act 3, Scene 1. Just one or two. Was it Act 2, Scene 2? Well, they're both horrible scenes to figure out, and we have a very small stage to be working from. So we are going to have a fun day trying to make those two scenes work, especially. I think before we close, I want to throw in, actually, one of the things that, for all the oddnesses and the various issues that we have with this text, I think it does have a really core element that is so modern and speaks to us so well today, which is about the abuse of power and the way it functions. And that's not just about the evil characters trying to assault someone and then cover it up. It's also the way the White King functions there. Because when the accusation is made, he basically stands there and goes, "Oh, do we have to use the word? Do we have to talk about, just point at the person, don't say their name." And there's something about people looking away that I find really, really interesting. There is a core to this play that I think is modern and works. And it's trying to find a way around all the stuff that is a bit too archaic, because I feel that there is a core here that I would really hate to lose, actually. And that's the bit I'm passionate about, because I do think there's something there that is still depressingly relevant. Sorry, that was my soapbox. I'll get off it now. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, I'll close the session. Thank you very much, everyone, all the wonderful people fully credited in the show description. We will return with more of this play next time. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.